My sister and I are both daughters of the Gu family. My father said that whoever can write a plan to innovate the company will inherit the Gu family company. I lived up to everyone's expectations and wrote a satisfactory plan after visiting dozens of partners. However, on the day my father announced the transfer of the company, I personally deleted all the plans and gave up my inheritance rights. In my previous life, I worked tirelessly between various partners and finally landed the plan. But on the day of inheriting the company, my sister took out an identical document, which was created one day earlier than mine. My sister was supported by the whole company to become the new chairman. But I was scolded by everyone for shameless plagiarism. My father announced on the spot that I would be kicked out of the Gu family and all the assets under my name were taken away. My sister even contacted major media to expose my plagiarism. I was forced into despair by cyberbullying and was eventually sent to prison, where I was beaten to death. Until the moment of death, I still didn't understand why the plan that I wrote with my own hands became hers. When I opened my eyes again, I was back to the day of the family meeting. The story is about to begin. If you like it, please like and subscribe. In the presence of all the elders of the Gu family, my father made a will, stating that whoever can come up with a plan to innovate the company first will inherit the company. The applause brought me back from my memories of my past life. My father walked over to me, patted me on the shoulder and said, "Sheng, you joined the company early, and you are my elder sister. The company is not doing well now, and I am old, so I will hand it over to you in the future. You have to work hard." Hearing the same words as in my previous life, I couldn't help but clench my fists. Gu Ra hurriedly said in a sweet voice, "Don't worry, Dad. Everyone says that your sister is a business genius. She will definitely find a way to change the current situation of the company. Don't worry about it. Your health is the most important thing." Her words were exactly the same as in her previous life. If I hadn't experienced it myself, I would never have thought that my kind and lovely sister would have such a sinister and cunning side. Since the plan that I worked so hard to write is destined to fall on her head, then whoever wants to inherit the company can inherit it. I wish I could be a hands-off boss and collect money. So I said, "I'm not as good as everyone says. Dad helped me before. I definitely can't write a plan by myself. The future of the company still has to be handed over to Rua." Hearing that I backed down, everyone's faces darkened. Gu Ra was even more anxious. "Sister, why are you still saying angry words at this time? Even with Dad's help, everyone can see your strength. Now the company has reached a critical juncture of life and death, you can't lose heart." Dad slammed his fist on the table, frowning. "Gu Sheng, this is not the time for you to lose your temper. If Gu's goes bankrupt, do you think you can still live a good life? Let alone the external partners, you can't even afford to pay back the capital of the company's shareholders. Don't blame me for not reminding you, we all prosper together and suffer together. I'm not asking you to choose, I'm not informing you. Dad is the head of the Gu family. He only has 2 daughters, Gu Rua and I, and Mom died early. Facing the covetous eyes of the rest of the Gu family, he has also been under a lot of pressure over the years. As far as I know, no less than 10 elders have wanted to get their sons into the company. If it weren't for Dad and the shareholders' resolute opposition, I'm afraid our family of 3 would have been kicked out long ago. For this reason, he had already tried to pave the way for Gu Rua and me when we were young. As soon as I graduated, he sent me to the company to gain experience. He said that if Gu Rua and I didn't live up to expectations, the company would be immediately swallowed up by others. Not to mention being kicked out of the Gu family, I'm afraid that those who have offended us in the business world over the years will not let us have an easy time. I understand his difficulties, so I visited major partners without sleep in my previous life, just to seek a plan to reform the company. But later, after the plan was written, on the day of inheritance, Gu Rua took out an identical document, and her creation time was a whole day earlier than mine. Faced with mountains of ironclad evidence, no one would doubt that her plan had problems. I was immediately called a shameless plagiarist by everyone for stealing the fruits of my sister's labor. Gu Ra looked at the plan in my computer, tears welling up in her eyes. "Sister, I know I am not as capable as you. For the development of the company, I have been working day and night, how can you have the heart to steal my files? Isn't this forcing me to be kicked out of the Gu family? I know you are doing this for the good of the company, I don't blame you. As long as you admit that you are plagiarizing and voluntarily give up your inheritance rights, I can ask my father to let you stay at home and give you 1,000 living expenses every month." Her seemingly generous words instantly caused dissatisfaction among all shareholders. A group of people slammed the table and stood up, pointing at my nose and cursing, "What a bullshit business genius, I think he is just a watered-down idiot." Those previous plans were also copied from outside. It's a pity that Director Gu cultivated her so hard, and she became the general manager as soon as she entered the company. Is she worthy? If Gu Ra hadn't produced evidence this time, the company would have been in the hands of this bitch. Director Gu, don't blame me for being ruthless. With what Gu Sheng did, she doesn't deserve the surname Gu at all. Gu Ra was collectively recognized by the company as the new chairman. But my father kicked me out of the house and took away all my assets. Gu Ra sued and sent me to prison, where I was beaten to death. Until the moment of my death, I couldn't figure out why the partner I worked so hard to find appeared in her plan. Seeing her anxious expression at the moment, I responded calmly, "Don't worry, Dad, I understand what you said, and I will try my best to find a solution for the company." On the way out, I was thinking about every detail of my past life in my mind. After writing the plan, I only showed it to my father. But Gu Ra and I are his biological daughters. Everything we do is for the Gu family. It should be impossible for him to steal my plan. So where is the problem? I was puzzled and flipped through the contact information of major partners on the screen. These companies were recommended to me by my fiancé Jiang Han. He knew that I had just graduated and lacked experience, and he helped me a lot over the years. Did he leak the secret? I deleted the partner information he sent me, and I plan to find it myself this time. I don't believe Gu Ra can steal it again. As soon as I got home, I received a message from my father. It contained a list of partners, all of whom were the connections he had accumulated over the years in the business world. He repeatedly told me not to tell Gu Ra about the list. This was obviously pinning all his hopes on me. Looking at the notes he carefully wrote on the screen, I became more and more puzzled. I used to think that my father was more partial to me because he tilted most of the resources towards me, always giving me more than Gu Ra, and even my fiancé was Jiang, who was a good match for the Gu family. From the day I joined the Gu group, the employees observed my words and expressions and regarded me as the future heir. But after experiencing the feud between father and daughter in the previous life, I could no longer put the word partiality on myself. After understanding everything, I didn't look at his list again and clicked delete directly. I turned on the computer and began to think about the innovation plan myself. 3 hours later, I finally had an idea, but I didn't write it down immediately. Instead, I sent a message to Jiang Han to test his whereabouts. He also had a good relationship with Gu Ra. In my previous life, I jokingly asked him if he had a crush on my sister, but he denied it and said that he approached Gu Ra just to find out about the enemy for me. Soon, the other party replied with a secretly filmed video showing that he was attending Zhang's shareholders' meeting. Seeing that he didn't have time to sneak attack, I breathed a sigh of relief and drove to the company again. Since it is impossible to determine who stole my files, now everyone in the company is a suspect. When I got there, the company was already closed. Only the lights in Gu Ra's office were still on. When I walked out of the elevator, I bumped into the shareholder Uncle Wang. He hurriedly pulled me aside and whispered in my ear, "How is your proposal going? Do you need Uncle Wang's help? I heard that your sister already has an idea. You have always been better than her, so you can't fall behind. I can only feel at ease if I hand over the company to you." My heart skipped a beat. I hurriedly said goodbye to him and went into Gu Ra's office on the pretext of delivering coffee. Sure enough, I saw a piece of draft paper on her desk, which clearly listed the ideas I had just thought of. I felt cold in my heart, but congratulated her calmly on the surface. When I turned back to my office, I hurriedly overturned my previous idea and wrote a new idea. Before I could breathe a sigh of relief, Gu Ra knocked on my door with a cup of coffee. "Sister? Are you still writing? Have some coffee to refresh yourself. Dad would be very pleased if he knew how hard you work. By the way, let me show you the plan I just came up with. It's a pity that it's still a prototype. Do you have any good suggestions?" The next second, she took out a mind map that was exactly the same as mine. My hands holding the paper were getting tighter, and my knuckles were shaking. I just wrote it down. Where did she hear the news from? Could it be that after being reborn, I still can't escape the fate of being plagiarized? I smiled and said that I was inexperienced and asked her to ask my father for advice. I fled the office in embarrassment and threw the ideas I just wrote into the shredder. That night, I bought a bottle of wine and went to my father to sound him out, but I heard him say that Gu Ra had not yet written a prototype of the plan. During the conversation, he sighed in disappointment. "After all, I can't compare with you. If Ru Ra wants to manage the company, she still needs to practice for a few more years." I finally breathed a sigh of relief. Fortunately, it was not too late. Under the influence of alcohol, I rethought a way and told my father about my idea. He was excited and patted my shoulder proudly. "The company will rely on you in the future. If there is no reform, Gu Group will be eliminated. Your idea is very good, go for it, Dad supports you. This time with my father as a witness, I don't believe that Gu Rua can still plagiarize my plan. But the next morning, when I entered the company gate, I heard employees whispering, didn't the second young lady come to the company today? Is she going to give up the inheritance? Your news is too delayed. The second young lady reported to the chairman early this morning and went to Shangang Group to discuss cooperation. I heard that the plan has been written. Shangang Group? My mind exploded, and I couldn't stop shivering. That was obviously the partner I thought of last night, and I contacted the person in charge overnight to discuss the cooperation. How did she know? The fear of having everything taken away by her in the previous life was vivid in my mind. If the fruits of my hard work are destined to be her wedding dress, then I might as well destroy it with my own hands now. I hurriedly took out my mobile phone and sent a message to the person in charge of Shangang Group to cancel the cooperation. Back in the office, I checked every corner of the room and confirmed that there were no eavesdropping devices installed. I asked the nanny at home to check my study room, but found nothing. How did Gu Rua know my thoughts? Could she really monitor my brain? It was too ridiculous. I rejected this ridiculous idea in a second and racked my brains to think of a new plan. In one morning, at least 10 shareholders came in. Seeing that I was at a loss, they laughed at me, aren't you a business genius? How come you can't even write a plan? I think the Gu Group will be handed over to someone else in Gu Sheng's generation. I'm just waiting for you to sell your shares and take over. Faced with all kinds of doubts, I didn't say a word to defend myself, but just kept thinking about the problem with my head down. When Gu Rua returned to the company, my father welcomed her with great fanfare, but he only got the news that the cooperation was cancelled. Gu Rua said that there were still some problems with the plan and she needed to modify it. This company was not suitable for the current situation of Gu Group. My father was extremely disappointed and rushed into my office. After all, you are a newly graduated kid. You dare to talk about cooperation without even understanding the company's situation. You made the whole company happy for nothing. How is your plan? You must not let your father down. The future development of the company depends on you alone. I managed to deal with him. After he left, I immediately took out my mobile phone to look for other suitable partners. This time I didn't tell anyone, contacted the other party's person in charge, and went straight to the hotel after get off work. But before I entered the door, I heard Gu Rua's cheerful laughter. The person in charge toasted respectfully and said, you are indeed sisters, with the same ideas. Your sister just contacted me, and you invited me to dinner right after. Don't worry, I have wanted to cooperate with Gu for a long time, and I wish us a happy cooperation. The moment the sound of clinking glasses rang out, I was soaked in cold sweat, and hurriedly left the hotel on the pretext of feeling unwell. Seeing that the agreed time was approaching, I still hadn't found the key to plagiarism. After hesitating, I decided to give up the local partners and go out of town to find out. The moment I bought the plane ticket, the dynamic that Gu Rua had just posted popped up. A group of people were toasting in the private room, and her expression seemed to be confident of victory. As soon as the dynamic was posted, it received hundreds of likes, all of whom were employees of the company. Dad was the first to comment, my dear daughter has grown up. It is amazing that you can complete the plan independently this time. Dad wishes you success. Jianghan also sent his blessings, saying that Gu Rua could go to him if she encountered any difficulties at work in the future. The concern between the lines clearly did not seem fake. It seems that his sophistry to me in the previous life was just an excuse. Maybe he was also one of the accomplices in Gu Rua's plagiarism this time. I ignored their news and got on the plane after packing my luggage. After landing, I wrote down my new ideas as soon as possible. This time, I was uncharacteristically aggressive in reforms, and the first step was to cut off the main artery of the Gu Group. I don't believe that Gu Rua would dare to steal such a bold idea. After writing the plan, I immediately learned about local companies, and I was busy visiting cooperation for the next week. Whether it was the message from my father or the greeting from Jianghan, I didn't reply to a single word. The itinerary was completely confidential, and no one knew where I went. I didn't show up until the day I agreed to meet with my father at a press conference to announce the results of the successor selection. But as soon as I arrived, I heard the shareholders talking, have you heard? Miss Gu Rua overturned all the previous plans and partners. This plan is too bold, I don't know if it will work. The partners contacted in this plan seem to be all from Haishur, so far away, I don't know where she contacted them from. She is worthy of being the daughter of Chairman Gu, so bold. Miss Gu Sheng joined the company earlier, maybe she has a better plan, let's wait to get the money. In an instant, my blood froze and my pupils trembled as I looked at the stage. On the big screen, Gu Rua's reform plan was exactly the one I wrote now. And the time of completion was still 1 day earlier than mine. At this moment, I finally realized how ridiculous it was for me to try every means to avoid it. When she finished explaining the plan, the audience burst into applause. Everyone's expectant eyes fell on my face. Dad said in a deep voice, "Sheng, what are you waiting for? It's your turn." Jianghan also arrived at this time, and smiled as he took the computer from my hand to the stage to copy the file. I rushed forward, snatched the mouse, and pressed the delete key before the file was revealed. I didn't write it out, I give up the inheritance. At the same time, Gu Rua's plan on the computer screen also disappeared. Her eyes turned red with anxiety. "Are you crazy? What are you doing?" Jianghan was so angry that he was shaking all over. "Are you kidding? The marriage partner of Zhang's can only be the heir of Gu's. Do you want to break the engagement? Gu Sheng, don't blame me for not reminding you. My parents will not marry a loser. If you give up the inheritance, our engagement will be invalid." Dad was furious and slapped me on the spot. "What nonsense are you talking about? If you give up the inheritance, you have to get out of the Gu family. Are you crazy? You disappeared for so long, and you didn't even write a fart? You joined the company 2 years earlier than your sister. Can't you write good or bad? You disappoint me so much. Do you know how many eyes are staring at you at home? Do you know how much pressure I have been under in order to buy time for you sisters these days?" I wiped the blood from the corner of my lips and said with a sneer, "You don't have to tell me, I'll get out of here by myself. I just didn't write it down. I've been traveling these days." "What, are you in a hurry? Anyway, the company already has a younger sister, so it doesn't matter whether I'm there or not, right? Can't she just watch over the future reforms? I don't want a penny of the Gu family's money, I'm leaving the house with nothing." After saying that, I looked at Jianghan, with disappointment in my eyes. "Do you think I don't know the dirty things you did behind my back? As far as I know, the Jiang family's shareholders meeting was held a month ago. Where was you that day? Do I need to tell you? Anyway, you all like Gu Rua, so let her stay. It happens that I don't want to do this anymore. I quit. The Gu family has nothing to do with me in the future. Don't look for me if the company goes bankrupt." They thought that stealing my documents and kicking me out of the Gu family would bring me to ruin. Unfortunately, they were wrong. The plan can be stolen, but she will never learn my experience and ideas in her life. It is impossible for me to work hard to pave the way for Gu Rua. If I hadn't received that email before boarding the plane, I would probably have been kept in the dark by these two people for the rest of my life. Fortunately, now that I know the truth, I will no longer be bound by this hypocritical family relationship. Since they are all on Gu Rua's side, then Gu's will be handed over to Gu Rua. I want to see how she can revive the ruined Gu group without my support. The scene was silent, and the cameras of the reporters were pointed at my face. The shareholders in the audience were even more restless and anxious. What a joke. Give up the inheritance? Gu Rua has just graduated for 2 years. Even if she came up with a plan by chance this time, it was just luck. How can such a large enterprise like Gu's be handed over to a yellow-haired girl? I don't agree. Instead of letting Gu Rua manage the company, it's better for the company to declare bankrupt now. Return our principal and we will work on our own. That's right. Who doesn't know Gu Sheng's contribution to Gu's in the 2 years since she joined the company? The net profit that has increased several times is the best proof. If she leaves, the company will go bankrupt in less than a month. Facing the shareholders' doubts, Dad also panicked. Everyone calm down, I have already promised in this will that whoever writes the innovative plan will get the company. Since Gu Sheng has voluntarily given up the inheritance, only Gu Rua is left. She is also my daughter, I know her ability, she just graduated and has no experience, don't panic. I will help her manage it, and I will not retire until she has enough ability. After experiencing my father's accusations in my previous life, I now look at his preference for Gu Rua, and the comparison between the two makes me feel full of irony. Sure enough, his concern and love for me were all fake. Gu Rua was the heir he had long chosen. No matter how hard I try, in the end he will always attribute all the credit to Gu Rua. Shareholders were not impressed. Jiang Han was also anxious when he saw this. Everyone calm down. The Jiang family and the Gu family have already decided to get married. This time, Rua will inherit the company, and I will do everything I can to help her. I know that Gu's situation is very dangerous, but you don't trust Rua, so you don't trust the Jiang family? With his words, the noise at the scene finally subsided. I just announced the cancellation of the engagement, and he treated Gu Rua as his fiancée in front of everyone. From the time I was born until now, I have been living in their pathetic lies. Gu Ruo was protected by them. In a corner where no one noticed, she gave me a triumphant smile. I ignored her, and did not leave immediately. I just snatched the microphone and said sternly, "Since the successor has been selected, Miss Gu Ruo, please explain the plan again so that everyone can listen carefully, so that no one will be dissatisfied, which will not be conducive to your future management of the company." After she finished speaking, Gu Ruo's face turned pale, and she looked at the plan that had disappeared on the screen long ago. She finally panicked. Jiang Han obviously knew the whole story of the plagiarism. His eyes quickly swept across the screen and his face turned cold. "Ms. Gu Sheng, the Gu Group has nothing to do with you now. It has nothing to do with you when Ruo talks about the specific plan. This is the company's confidential information. I'm afraid it's not appropriate for you to be here." Dad was also heartbroken and disappointed. "Get out. Get out. I don't have a daughter as heartless as you. You gave up the inheritance when you saw that the company was failing. You never thought about overcoming the difficulties with the Gu family. Even if you win today, you are not worthy of inheriting the company. The company will not have a good result in the hands of people like you." I spread my hands indifferently. "It's up to you, I'm just giving you a kind reminder. After all, the shareholders are all watching the reform plan. If I don't explain it in detail in public to convince everyone, how can my good sister carry out her work in the future? Since everyone is unhappy with me, I'll just leave." After saying that, I raised my foot and walked out the door. But before I could leave, my father's roar rang out from behind me. "Stop. I was wondering why you suddenly gave up the inheritance just now. It turns out that you secretly deleted your sister's plan when no one was paying attention. Hurry up and restore it. Otherwise, don't blame me for not giving you face." I stopped in my tracks, and the next second, security guards surrounded me. I didn't expect my father to throw such dirty water on me for Gu Ruo. I was so disappointed that I laughed out loud on the spot. I deleted her plan. Everyone just saw it clearly. I only deleted my own plan. When did I touch her plan? There are so many cameras and surveillance cameras on the scene, and the reporters can testify for me. Don't slander me. After he finished speaking, my father's eyes became panicked. Jiang Han was closest to me just now, and he immediately stood up to accuse me. "I testify that I just saw you delete Ruoro's plan with my own eyes. I thought you were kind and didn't want to compete with your sister, but I didn't expect you to be this kind of person. Gu Sheng, your despicable means simply make me sick. Return the plan to Ruoro quickly. Otherwise, don't blame me for calling the police. This involves company secrets and is worth hundreds of millions. Can you afford to pay for it?" People at the scene were still skeptical about this matter, but Jiang Han's few words instantly nailed me to the pillar of shame for sin. Before I could open my mouth to explain, I was bombarded with curses. I was wondering why she was so kind not to give up the company. It turns out she had a backup plan. She deleted the plan that people worked so hard to make. How could the Gu family have such a shameless daughter? She is willing to give up her dignity just to grab a company. I have never seen such a crazy person. That is her own company. How can she be good if she harms Gu's? No wonder her father is so angry. It seems that he has known his daughter's character for a long time. She doesn't even deserve the surname Gu. Find the plan quickly and kick her out. I just wanted to speak for this bitch. I was so blind. Bah, I frowned, not wanting to waste time talking to them, and wanted to leave. But a group of security guards stepped forward and blocked me, reaching their hands to the back. "Please go back, Miss Gu. Get out of the way." My face darkened, and my tone was filled with anger. But the next second, my father exchanged glances with the security guards, and they immediately dragged me to the front of the stage. I struggled fiercely and looked like a joke under their strong bodies. When I got in front of my father, they threw me hard and threw me on the stage. I stood up while enduring the severe pain all over my body. Before I could open my mouth, I was slapped by my father. "You disappoint me so much. Gu Ruo is your sister, how could you treat her like this? She just graduated and has no experience. It is not easy for her to come up with such a plan. Why do you target her? I have raised you for more than 20 years in vain. You are simply an ungrateful person. That is the innovation plan of the Gu Group. You deleted it. Do you want to destroy the Gu family?" My mouth was full of blood. I wanted to speak, but as soon as I opened my mouth, blood came out all over the floor. My father thought I was unrepentant and became even angrier. "Others don't understand the company's situation, but you do. If we don't change, Gu's will be finished. What do you want to do? What do I have against you?" I spat out the last mouthful of blood in my mouth, and Gu Ruo said aggrievedly at this time, "Sister, I know you look down on me, but I have done my best for the company. Why did you delete the plan that I wrote without eating or drinking? Jiang Han stood beside her and looked at me sternly. I sneered, I haven't deleted it. Since you wrote the plan without eating or drinking, you should be very familiar with it. Although the plan has been deleted, you can recite it to everyone. Seeing her pale face and shaking body, I spoke again, or did you steal the plan, and you simply don't remember what's in it? As soon as I finished speaking, you could hear a pin drop around you, and the shareholders looked at each other. Jiang Han looked around, took a step forward and slapped me hard. Don't be the first to complain. I wrote all the planning proposals for you in the company before. What qualifications do you have to blame Ruo? I have seen how hard she has worked for so long. I also accompanied her throughout the trip to High City to conduct research and discuss cooperation. Don't try to confuse right and wrong. I was staggering after being slapped by him suddenly. Gu Ra hurriedly explained, I'm sorry, sister. I haven't slept much for a week because of this plan. My mind is in a mess now. I really can't remember. I didn't mean it. Tears rolled down her cheeks, and Gu Ra burst into tears. It was obviously an obvious excuse, but Jiang Han took it seriously and explained for her seriously. As soon as she finished speaking, Gu Ra fell straight towards him. Jiang Han hugged her into his arms, his eyes red with anger, and he yelled at me, do you have to force your sister to death? Gu Shang, when did you become like this? If I don't get Ruo's plan back today, don't blame me for not giving you face. Dad also hurriedly stood beside Gu Ruo, checking her condition with worried eyes. Your sister has even broken down because of the company, how could you have the heart to do such a thing? My Gu family doesn't have a daughter like you, and the Gu group can't tolerate a big Buddha like you. Get the files back, and you get out immediately. After the words fell, the shareholders present also erupted in anger. What is Gu Xing doing? The plan just now was still there, but it was deleted as soon as she arrived. Who else could it be but her? Gu Ra fainted from exhaustion after a week of hard work. Is her heart made of stone? How could she be so cruel? If the plan you worked so hard on was deleted by someone, you would also faint from anger. I think she did it on purpose. Who knows what means she used just now? Facing the increasingly angry questioning, I smiled faintly. Since you all say it was me, call the police. The police will naturally not favor any party, and no one at the scene questioned my handling of the matter. Only my father and Jiang Han rejected my request to call the police in unison. Call the police? Gu Shang, don't you think the joke you made today is not enough? Do you have to embarrass the Gu family? Once the news of the scene spreads, do you know what the consequences will be? You can't afford it. I sneered at them and said I was just calling the police. Why are you so scared? Are you afraid that I will find out that Gu Ruo's plan was plagiarized, or are you afraid that I will find out a bigger case? A trace of panic flashed in my father's eyes. You evil creature. What nonsense are you talking about? This plan was written by your sister. While they weren't paying attention, I secretly called the police on my phone and sent a message to that person. As soon as I looked up, Jiang Han strode towards me, grabbed my neck, and dragged me to the computer. Find it. If you can't find Ruo's solution, don't even think about leaving here. At this moment, the unconscious Gu Ruo woke up. She walked to my side weakly, took the mouse and clicked a few times on the computer. Soon, a draft of the plan appeared on the big screen. Tears of grievance rolled in her eyes, and she cried and said, Sister, I know you don't believe I can write a plan by myself. This is my initial thinking process. I wrote it down, and the plan was written based on this. I looked at the screen, and on it was the text I wrote on the plane a week ago. Before I could say anything, the shareholders' scolding had drowned me out. Looking at the time under the text, I curled my lips and smiled. What a coincidence, I also have a picture like yours. Jiang Han deliberately raised his voice and shouted angrily, no wonder you would rather give up the inheritance than come up with a plan, it turns out you plagiarized Ruo. We are sisters, how can you be so shameless? Dad was also disappointed and sighed beside him. The shareholders' anger could no longer be suppressed. Insults were far from enough to vent their anger. A group of people immediately rushed to the stage and punched and kicked me. Do you know how much money I invested in Goose? And you raised a plagiarist like you. Why don't you die for plagiarizing your own sister? You are a business genius, screw you. If plagiarism can manage a company, then I can also be the chairman of Goose. I didn't expect them to attack me directly this time. As I struggled, my clothes were stained with blood. Just as I was about to lose consciousness, a group of police rushed in from outside the door. Mr. Jiang, you are suspected of spreading network viruses and stealing information. Please come with us. Ms. Gu Ruo, you are suspected of stealing business secrets. Please come with us as well. Dad quietly retreated to a corner where no one was paying attention, trying to take the opportunity to leave, but before he reached the door, he was stopped by another policeman. "Mr. Gu, someone reported that you are suspected of being involved in a murder case 18 years ago. Where are you going?" We were taken to the police station, and the video recorded by the reporter was also uploaded to the internet. At first, netizens were still scolding me for plagiarism, but when they saw the police coming out, they all fell silent. I took my computer to the police station for them to investigate and collect evidence. During this time, Jianghan asked to see me. I thought about what he was going to say, but his shamelessness still refreshed my bottom line of cognition. He threatened me with our engagement to withdraw the report to the police, saying that when he returned, he could speak well of me in front of Zhang's parents. At that time, he would also send someone to suppress this matter, and I would still be the daughter-in-law of the Jiang family. He looked so high and mighty, as if it was a great blessing for me to marry into the Jiang family. I poured a cup of boiling water on his face on the spot, listened to his screams and wails, and left the interrogation room without looking back. He thought I still didn't know he had tampered with my computer and was still taking me for a fool. Unfortunately, I won't let him get his wish this time. I asked the police to bring his computer back and check both computers at the same time. After 2 hours, the police technicians finally found the hidden virus software and said it was downloaded a year ago. I remembered the time when my computer broke down and he kindly said he could fix it for me. I believed him, but I didn't expect that he would take the opportunity to install a virus on my computer, steal the files in my computer, and turn on the camera without my knowledge to keep an eye on my movements. It was because of this that he sent what I wrote to Gu Ruo as soon as possible. The police found traces of transferring files to Gu Ruo on his computer. The evidence was irrefutable and Jiang Han could no longer deny it. Dad also tried to play the family card with me to make me give up calling the police on him. During the conversation, Mom came in from outside, and he looked horrified. 18 years ago, he announced to the public that Mom died accidentally, but in fact he hired kidnappers to kill her, but Mom escaped. The kidnappers wanted to ask for the balance, so they said that Mom had been killed and her body was dismembered. Mom was afraid of alerting the enemy, so she didn't go back home and chose to live abroad. She has been working hard over the years and now has her own company abroad. She saw the news about Gu's on the internet and contacted me. Through her description, I learned that Gu Ruo was not my mother's biological daughter, but the daughter of my father's mistress. In order to leave all the assets of the Gu family to Gu Ruo, he had made a lot of efforts behind the scenes. The police immediately went to retrieve the financial situation of the Gu group, and indeed found evidence that my father used illegal means to transfer the company's assets, which was the real reason why the Gu group went downhill. He wanted to take this opportunity to hand over the company to Gu Ruo and kick me out. "Sheng, you joined the company early and you are my elder sister. The company is not doing well now. I am old too. I will leave it to you in the future. You have to work hard." But I saw through her halfway. The police caught the kidnapper from 18 years ago, and the other party admitted that he had been hired by my father. The police investigation was completed and the results were announced. The family elders immediately removed my father and Gu Ruo from the family tree and handed the company over to me to manage. My mother wanted me to go abroad with her, but I rejected her kindness. The cancer of Gu Group has been eliminated, and next, I want to build my own business. The day they were sentenced was also the day I officially took over as chairman. Shareholders apologized to me one after another and gave me half of their shares in order to retain their cooperation with Gu's. I didn't blame them. After all, who would go against money? After signing the share transfer contract, I rewrote a plan according to my memory, and the company's transformation began soon. And I became the first female chairman in the history of Gu's Group.